Hello friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a while. I've had a lot going on and I haven't been able to get my space cleared enough so that I can somehow feasibly manage to create a tutorial for you guys. However, I finally have managed that. It's been a long couple of months, but here we are. I thought that I would do one of my most highly requested looks for you guys today because, well, for one, it's one of my most highly requested looks, and for two, it's a look that's fun and speaks to my soul, and it's one that I actually enjoy doing. But yeah, it's a red and black look. Surprise, surprise. But I really enjoy it, and I hope you guys do too. Alright. We are listening to classical because classical music won't get me a copyright strike. Alright. I'm starting off by putting some Urban Decay Primer Potion over where I'm going to be drawing my eyebrows in. I have taken to shaving them off so that I can draw them with a higher arch. Now, that's not going to be for everyone. That's probably not going to be for most people, but it works well for me, and I like how I look when I have them drawn on, so it's what I do. Alright. I'm going to be going in with the NYX eyebrow gel. This is my favorite for drawing in or filling in my eyebrows. I find it works better than any of the brow pencils or anything that I've tried thus far. I'm sure there's probably other products that work better that I haven't tried yet, but this thus far has been working well for me. I like to make the arch nice and high. So that when I start going in with color underneath, I'll have plenty of space to work with. Alright. Now we've got that mostly drawn in. I'm going into the brow gel with a spoolie and taking just a little bit. You can barely see that there's even any on the wand, but you just want to barely dip it in there to have just enough to lay a little bit of color down. That's one done. Now let's see if we can match the second one. Alright, shape on that looks pretty good. I just need to get some more filled in towards the front. To make, and that just makes the part that I drew on blend into the little bit of natural hair that I have that I use as a guide to start my eyebrow placement. Okay. Now I'm gonna go in with concealer. I'm using the Revolution Makeup Conceal and Define. It is a decent concealer. I wouldn't say it is the best of the best, but it is definitely a good one, and it does not irritate my eyes like the NYX Got You Covered, which has coconut oil in it. And I found out that coconut oil has been what's been irritating my eyes in that, so I generally just don't use that one a whole lot anymore. Alright, had to turn the music down some because I felt like I was screaming over the top of it. Alright, so I've got just a flat brush for my concealer, and this one is the BH Cosmetics number 4 from one of their brush sets. If the camera would focus, it really doesn't want to focus. Anyway, it just says BH Cosmetics number 4 anyway. I'm using this to clean up the lower edge. Clean up the lower edge of the brow to make it sharper. And this also allows me to highlight just a little bit. Alright. And now I'm just going to take one of my triangle makeup sponges, just a basic one. I got these at Walmart, and I'm just patting that concealer to blend it in with the skin a little bit better. Okay. And there's the eyebrows. That is pretty even, close enough. It'll do. And now, to clean off my palette so that I can start going in with the colors. Well, first with the eyeshadow primer and then the colors, I guess. It's been a minute since I've done this makeup. Okay, the eyeshadow primer is the P. Louise base. The shade I got for this is 0, which is pure white, because white is a great blank canvas to build other colors on top of. Alright. Just going to take that same brush that I used with the concealer, spray a little rubbing alcohol on it to clean the color off. And then go in with some of this eyeshadow primer. This stuff is super duper high coverage, which they also have various skin tones, and recently she came out with a bunch of different colors, which I'm kind of curious about and wanting to try. But right now I don't have the kind of money to spend on a bunch of different eyeshadow primers, so for the moment I have my white. And you don't want it too thick, especially with the pigments that I'm going to be using for this look, because the pigments I'm using are actually liquid pigments. Or I guess cream pigments, but a fluid of some sort. They're not a powder. I guess that's the best way to put it. Okay. Alright, these pigments are my absolute favorites. They're by Danessa Myricks. I think that's how you say her name. I'm not 100% certain, but that one is Primary Red, and this one is Blackout. And they're just in little squeeze tubes, which this packaging is so much better than their original packaging. Let me tell you what. I'm so much more confident that these aren't going to dry out and become difficult to use. But I've repurchased these because the pigments are that good and they are that long lasting that I felt it was a good investment to repurchase. Fucking expensive, but they last for ages and they're fucking gorgeous. Oh, it's one of those, you do get what you pay for with these, and really don't know why there's absolutely no one talking about these. I saw one person, and I can't even remember who it was, make mention of them and say a little bit about them and use them in one of her tutorials, but really, people just aren't talking about them. And it's baffling for me because they're fucking beautiful. Alright. Let's see. Aha! Those are what she's saying. Okay, so for this look, I've got the Blackout and the Primary Red. I'm dipping into the Primary Red just a little bit on my brush, and this is just a flat concealer brush by e.l.f. And I'm just covering most of the mobile lid and a little bit into the crease. Just a little bit into the crease to start off with. I'm so excited to have a new batch of these pigments. There's only 4 colors that I get, and I'm so excited to have new ones because the old ones had started to dry out, and so they were not working as well. I mean, I could get them to work, but the lines just weren't as sharp. Alright, and now we kind of freehand just some designs. I usually do designs with fire in mind. Oof. And that was a little too much of that red. So we're going back in with some of the P. Louise base and just kind of shaping that red a little bit to make it a more defined curve. Okay. That looks better. Okay. Alright. Now going back in with the red again, just to sharpen the edges of what I just did. Alright. And down beside it, I usually do a second curve. Okay. And just a little bit of white right in the corner here to cancel out a smidge of that red. That's a thing with makeup, is a lot of it is just going back and forth between your colors and your products, blending and customizing it until you get the look that you want. Like, that's really the key to how I manage to create these looks. and I fudged that up just a little bit, so going back in with the pillowies to fix it. Alright. And my sides are not even. Need the left to be a little bit higher. My left. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna start working with the black some. Because the only way to make this work is to go back and forth between the colors. Alright, and I've got a similar brush to the first one, except this one's smaller. This one's by Manic Panic. I have no idea, no earthly clue where to get it. I do not remember. I've had it for years. But the shape is the important part. And I'm just starting to go into the corner with this. Starting with the outer corner some, and then the inner corner. Alright, and now we take the brush that we had the red with and kind of tap back and forth with just a tiny bit of red, back and forth and up and down. And that's gonna blend the black and the red together. Okay. Okay, that blend looks pretty decent. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. And yeah, this is one of those makeup looks that really does look like a hot mess during the creation, but you have to trust the process and trust that you're going to be able to blend everything out. And again, we're going back in with just a little bit of red paint, or red pigment. It's just the bare remnants of what you had. Grabbing another paper towel so that I can clean my brushes off as need be, because there is a little bit of back and forth between cleaning the brushes off that needs to happen. Let's see. And I'm going to go in with just a little bit more of this red pigment to brighten the center here. One of these days, I will have a ring light that will give you better a better idea of what the colors actually are. The light I have now is a very bright one in my room that casts a little bit of yellow over everything, so what you're seeing isn't going to be entirely true to color. Just so bear that in mind as I'm creating. Not that it matters that much, but it is important to some. Alright, now I'm going to go back in with the e.l.f. Small Precision brush. It's just a teeny tiny little brush, and it's the one I used for my eyebrows. And I'm going to start to shape the outer wings of this look. And each time I do this look, it does end up looking at least a little bit different. Because there's no set pattern that it has to be, and so as I find myself inspired to do more or less tendrils each time, so it changes. That's the basic shape of those down with the black. Now I'm just gonna go in with this teeny tiny brush this is actually from a set of nail painting brushes that I got, again, years ago. And these are so good for the fine details. Okay. And there we've got a couple of outer points. Now I'm gonna come here to the inside corner and do just one point. Could I do more if I felt so inclined? Absolutely. This just happens to be one time where I don't. Okay. And just going back into the P. Louise eyeshadow base to again clean up this edge a little bit. And gonna go back in on the left side now. Okay. That's that inner point. And that's not even a little bit even. Okay, so but that's okay because I can go back in and correct some of that. Okay. And on this side, could use just a little bit more black, and I'm just taking my finger to blend out the harsh edge from that's in the middle. Okay. And I think I'm gonna kind of pull the red down a little bit sharper with a slightly sharper line here, just for funsies. Whew. Getting hot. Okay, and now we're gonna do, actually before I do the lines underneath my eye, what I need to do is conceal, then put all my foundation on and set it, and then do the line underneath my eyes. Yes, that is the order that I need to do this in. Okay. And this brush that I originally used for the concealer, the BH Cosmetics number 4, I'm just going to go in with that same brush. One thing I do like about this concealer that the NYX Gotcha Cover didn't do is that this one actually fully dries down, when the NYX Gotcha Covered, while being very opaque and very what word am I looking for? Very opaque and very high coverage. It didn't dry down, and it did have to be 100% very, very set, or else it was gonna move. And it did get very oily on me. Alright. Okay. Alright, so far so good. Now what I'm going to do is prime my face before I go in with foundation. I'm using the Joa Glow Activator Radiance Primer. Oh, now you want to focus. The Joa Glow Activator Radiance Primer. It's K-Beauty inspired, Korean beauty product inspired, and it is exactly what it says it is. It is a radiance primer. It contributes to a very dewy finish with the foundation. After many, many years of always doing a matte finish, I'm actually kind of digging the glowy finish with this. And a little bit goes a long way. I put 2 pumps on my palette, and that is probably actually too much. I probably only really need 1. Because this stuff is fairly oily. Now, what primer does, for those of you who might be less familiar with the makeup products, the objective of primer is to prepare the skin for your foundation. It's not 100% necessary. Lots of people will do their makeup without any sort of primer. I personally happen to like the look of my foundation better when I use primer. It lays on the skin better, and it smooths out the skin and fills in some of my pores. So there's that. Now for foundation, I'm going to go in with a combination of the Maybelline Fit Me Matte Poreless Foundation, and I'm going to mix that, if I can get a little bit of this out on my palette. There we go. I'm going to mix that with some of the Joa Truly Yours Natural Finish foundation, and this one is a foundation dropper style. And neither of them is a perfect match for me. The Maybelline is a little bit too red of an undertone for me. It's a little bit too cool of an undertone, and the Joa is a little bit too warm, too yellow. So I am combining the two with a hope that the two combined are going to make a better match. Do I know for certain that this is going to work? No. Could it be a total disaster? Yes. Am I trying it anyway? Yes. Okay. And I'm just going in with a makeup sponge. This one's from Walmart, and gently patting the foundation over my face. And I'm actually liking a slightly more sheer look. Because when it's a little bit more sheer, with a little bit of my natural skin popping through, A, the color tends to be better, and B, it ends up looking a little bit more natural on the whole. Okay. And we just want to blend this a little ways down the neck. Because when you blend it down the neck, it definitely does tend to match better on the whole. Okay. And alright. And I'm not sure how well you can see the coverage of that, but it's, I'd say, light to medium coverage overall. It's not super thick, not super cakey. And I like the finish on my skin. Now I'm going with my Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. I got it. I'm using the shade Fair, and finishing powder is to set your makeup into place. foundation is kind of what it sounds like. It gives you a pretty smooth, clear finish overall to have as the base of your skin. Finishing powder sets your makeup into place, and that is different from a pressed powder foundation or a pressed powder concealer, which I'll get into the specific differences of those another day, but it is definitely different. Okay, now that we've got the base set in place, going in with a little bit of a smaller brush underneath the eyes with some of that Maybelline Fit Me Loose powder. And I'm going with, and the reason for that is just to make sure that concealer and foundation are fully set in place and don't budge and move as I'm going into my next steps. Okay. Close that so I don't end up dropping it and having powder go everywhere, because that would not be a fun thing to deal with. Okay, and this teeny tiny brush that I've been doing all this detail work, I'm picking that up again, going into some more of this red cream pigment and drawing a line directly underneath the eye. And with this, we're literally just connecting the two sides and at the edge, blending just a little bit to make it something of an ombre. Right, and now what I like to do is draw a line straight down right in the center, then add a curve in on either side of that line, so that it's a point. And that bit is kind of Circus inspired. And we're just going to do those same steps on the other side. If you have hands that shake at all, One thing that you can do to help stabilize is put your pinky finger on your cheek, and that just helps keep things in place so that where was I going with that thought? Keeps things in place so that you can better maneuver your brushes and draw straighter lines. Okay. And the point, at least for me, does still sometimes end up being a little bit messy. Going back in the black. Just to blend it a little bit better into the red at the corners. And that's a little bit too much black, so going back into the red again. Okay. Alright, that's close to what I want it to be. And now, going back into this concealer, and cleaning up the edges some. Okay, and that is the basics of the eye look done. The base area now I will go in with some of the black and right along the lash line. Connect the two sides. And yes, Mikey, if you're watching this, yes, I did do eyeliner. Yes, it made me loose. You're welcome. Anyone who doesn't know, you probably don't want to know, because you'll only be irritated. I promise. I promise that it's something that you would rather not know. Okay. And now I'm lining my waterline. And tight lining my upper waterline with this too. This is the Stila Smudge Kajal eyeliner, and it is some of the darkest, most opaque black eyeliner that I own, that I've ever owned. It's absolutely beautiful. With me tightlining the upper lash line looks super duper awkward and I look like I'm struggling with it, well, it's because I only recently, very recently, started even bothering. And for that bit, I might have had my mirror a little bit in front of my face anyway, so I don't know how much of that you actually got to see. Hopefully you got to see it actually happen. Alright. Next, I'm gonna go in with my lashes. These are ones from the Dollar Tree. I prefer Kiss lashes because they do have a thinner band and they look a little bit more natural overall. However, these are $1 and they're not only cheaper, but I wear these for performance gigs. I perform, so a lot of this stuff, bear in mind, needs to be seen from a stage. Alright. Okay. And I'm putting this lash glue on. And there's already lash glue on this pair because it's not my first time using this particular pair, but that's okay. Alright, and I'm gonna let that dry for a second while I figure out what I'm gonna use as some of my highlighting. Okay. Alright, I think that's a decent selection. Now, the way I do lashes is I press them onto the center. I press the center onto my lid. And then I go in with my tweezers and pop down either side. And if it looks like I'm failing epically at this, it's because I am. Okay. Lashes are such a struggle, y'all. Such a struggle. Okay, not great, but it's on. So I'm just going to accept that for what it is and move on to the next one. One of the main problems that comes with the thicker lash bands is they're not as flexible a lot of the time, and that makes it harder to place them. the best that they're gonna get, I think. So we're gonna call that on, and we're gonna call that piece done. Lashes are not the only bane of my existence, but one of them for sure. Okay. And while that's drying, we're gonna go in with an inner corner highlight, inner corner, and probably some on the brow bone too. This is the Concrete Minerals shade Still Ill. It's this beautiful, absolutely stunning white gold color. You probably won't even be able to see it very well, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I wish the camera could pick this up better. It's fucking beautiful. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Alright. For this, for the inner corner, I'm gonna go in with the BH Cosmetics number 3 brush, which is pretty much a crease brush. And pop some of that just a little bit on the inner corner area, and maybe just a smidge on the brow bone too, because the color of this is so beautiful. Now, we're going to keep working on the lashes. Now that we've got the lashes on, I'm going to use mascara to blend my natural lashes in to the falsies. Hopefully without popping them off, because that would be disappointing. Okay, upper lashes and then lower lashes. The mascara I'm using is the Lancome Monsieur Big. Monsieur. In actual French it's pronounced Monsieur, but I am not entirely sure how Lancome pronounces it. Hopefully hopefully they pronounce it correctly. Alright. Now that we've got that on, where are, aha, my Q-tips. Alright, now I'm taking Q-tips and lash glue, and what we're going to do is pop some rhinestone in a few assorted places that I just think really accentuate this particular look well. My nose got itchy. Okay. Let's see if I can get the ones that I want to flipped upright so that I can see what the fuck I'm looking for. That would be grand. Okay, there's oh. What is my life? Okay, there we go. And it's actually good to have the glue on for a little bit of time before you actually place the rhinestones in place, before you actually put the rhinestones in place, because in having the glue sit there, it allows it to get tacky before you put it on. Before you stick anything to it, rather. You know what I meant. Okay. And next, I do well, fudge. Yes, I did just say fudge instead of fuck over dropping one of my rhinestones. Alright. And we'll do two at either side. Let's see. Okay. Definitely have the larger size that I'm looking for, and there's the smaller size. Sweet. I don't have to go digging into any other containers to find these particular sizes and colors. Okay. Now, what I like to do, oh, before, let me close this so it doesn't spill. Alright, now what I like to do is take a couple of really fine-tipped brushes. These will do. Any small precision brushes are gonna be pretty good for these. Now I'm taking some liquid shadows. Thinking I'm gonna go with the Stila liquid shadow in the shades Cloud and Painted Lady, and possibly a bit of Diamond Dust as well. That's enough for the time being, and I can add more if I so see fit. But I'm using my palette again because I'm a bit anal retentive about using the applicators of these sorts of tubes, because I just don't like putting them directly on my skin, because I'm concerned about bacteria transfer. Anyway, it's fairly well known that I'm a little bit odd, so I'm going into Painted Lady right here and tracing just above the upper line. I do believe that this song is Lacrimosa from Mozart's Requiem. Yes, it is. Gotta use that old music training for something, I guess. Alright. And I'm just going on the top side with Painted Lady of the red pieces. To add a little bit of glitz and glamour. Alright, and with Cloud, I'm gonna do the same thing. Above the black. I love this shade so much. It's like kind of a magenta-ish, purplish to kind of a rose gold shift. It's absolutely stunning. I got a little bit distracted there and went over the black a little bit too much, so let me just take some of this black and put some of it back in here. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to take some of the diamond dust using small brush like this is good. This is a very cheap one from a set that I got on Wish. You can find them on AliExpress too. They're just something like 20-piece brush sets for $1. They're really not great for powders, but they do quite nicely with liquids. So I do keep them around specifically for my liquid shadows and liners and things like that. Okay. Alright. And that is the eyes done. Now we're gonna go through, highlight, contour, do the lips, and that should be close to everything. Oh, that's right, there was one more thing that I wanted to add a little bit of, just because I like it. And I'm using one of the P. Louise pigments. This specific one is in the shade Gold Digger. Yes, it's spelled that way. Not a huge fan of the name, but the shade is absolutely fucking beautiful, so what can you do? Alright. Let's see. So, I'm using another one of these brushes, going into some of the NYX glitter glue. Popping a little bit of that on the center here of both eyes. These do definitely need some of the glitter glue. They will not stick very well without it. However, they are such high impact. I don't even know if you can see just how gorgeous that is. Okay. It's fucking beautiful. That's all there is to it. Alright. And closing the pigment up now. I think I'm gonna actually add some of this. It's by Pop Beauty. It is in the shade Crushed Copper. It is another liquid shadow, and again, it's stunning. I'll just take one of these super fine brushes from that nail brush set. And add some along the edge. Of this lower line. And this is one of those things that works best in super small strokes. Now frequently I will pop another gem on underneath the lower point. I don't feel like doing that today. It's not for any reason other than I'm being fucking lazy right now. But yeah. So, blush, highlight, contour, and lips. Alright. I'm actually going to use an all blush palette. This is the BH Cosmetics Glamorous Blush 10 color palette, 10 color blush palette, and I tend to go for these two shades here on this side. I like a super duper fluffy brush, and I just very, very lightly tap into them. Even that's a little bit too much pigment, so tap it on the back of my arm. And okay. And I like to pinch the brush, and after I've set it lightly on the face, and go over a little bit harder, because once you've powdered the face, if you're like me and you've got fairly large pores, those tend to show through in between the blush if you don't do something to avoid that. So that is what I personally do. I'm gonna contour with the contour and bronze with the NYX Highlighting Contour Pro palette. This lighter cool shade is going to be my contour. The lighter warm shade is going to be my bronzer. So that's shades HCPS 07 for the contour and HCPS 05 for the bronzer. Yes, I got that right. Contour. Some people don't like the super harsh brushes like this for contouring. I personally do, because it does let me get a nice clean line. Alright, put some contour. Almost had an accident with that. Put some contour onto the brush, tap it on the back of my arm to make sure it doesn't go too far, and we're going to use some underneath the blush. The best way to figure out the direction of your contour, it's supposed to be emulating the shadow of the hollows of the cheeks. Now lots of people will tell you to purse your lips. I personally go from this peak of the hairline here and draw pretty much straight line down to my mouth, and that pretty much gets the angle that I'm looking for and makes sure it's even on both sides. And if you find your blush or your contour are a little bit harsh at any point, you can go back in with your the brush that you used to powder with. I like to use a flat brush. This one's by Wet n Wild, and you don't need more powder on the brush, but using the leftover powder, it allows you to just kind of tap some on there, and it helps blend it better. Alright, now I'm going a little bit more into that contour shade with an angle contouring brush, and I do just a little bit under the chin personally. Some people aren't big fans of that for contour placement. On me, I like it. And then we're going into the bronzer. The contour, where the contour emulates shadow, the bronzer is meant to kind of emulate places where the sun would hit. And give you a little bit of dimension there. Alright. And now this is an e.l.f. blending brush. I'm going into that contour shade and going down the sides of my nose. highlight. My favorite highlight has been the Wet n Wild Loose Highlighting Power, Mega Glow Loose Highlighting Power. This one is in the shade Moon Tears. I think they might still have some of this on the website. It's from the Goth Topic collection that was supposed to be limited edition, but I've been back to their website and seen that they've got at least some of the products that worked better than others from that collection. They've got at least some of the products still on the website. Alright, and this is another one of those angled contour brushes, and highlight does kind of just what it sounds like it's supposed to do. It's supposed to hit the points of your face where light would shine. And give you kind of a glow. Okay. We're close to done, I promise. Alright, and just a fairly thin and small fluffy brush to do nose highlight and just a little bit above the brow bone. And with the leftovers and Cupid's bow. That's probably more than I needed on my Cupid's bow, but that's okay. Alright, and for my lips, I'm gonna use one of the Wet n Wild gel lip liners. This one is in the shade Red Basine. Alright, and what a lip liner does is keeps the lipstick from bleeding outside the lines and makes sure that you've got a nice clean line of lipstick. And Wet n Wild Mega Last Liquid Catsuit in the shade Missy and Fierce. I absolutely adore this shade. It is a beautiful bright red. Okay. And with that, the look is complete. What do you think? I really like it. you know, my hands got a little shaky a couple of times and I messed up in a couple of places, but I love how this looks on me every single time. So, with that said, there are some people that I want to thank without whom I would not have been able to make this happen. Mikey, thank you. Thank you. You know what you did. Melvin, Susan, Kira, Trista, you guys, without you, I wouldn't have all of the things that, a lot of the things that I needed to do this makeup look in full. I also want to thank Karma Jane and Grace. You guys both have helped me in cleaning up my room, which the cleaning of my room made it so that I was able to come here and film. Not that you can actually see very much of my room back there, but my bed is made. And a couple more thank yous. Jess of Skinsmith Studios made my collar here. She does beautiful, beautiful leather work. Please go check her out. I will try to remember to link her below. And Kelly from the Invincible Spoon, the Invincible Spoon made my knife necklace, which symbolizes, if you're disabled or you run in the disability communities, you know what having spoons means. Basically it means every day you get a certain amount of energy left, and each task takes a certain number of spoons, and once those spoons are depleted, you don't have any more energy left that day to accomplish the things that you need to accomplish. And the knife means no more spoons left, only knives, which I love. But that about wraps it up, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this, that it was informative and helpful, and I hope you guys come and see me again, and hopefully I'll get some more tutorials up soon. Love you guys so much. Thank you for watching if you made it this far.